Let's address a topic today, and that is the weight issue when it comes to firearms. So many people on YouTube and on forums place weight of a firearm amongst the top things to look at when purchasing a firearm for self-defense, whether it's on the defensive, offensive, military use, police use, home use, whatever. They place weight as one of the top factors in how they choose their firearm. And I'm here to tell you, I think it's time for people to de-pussify themselves a little bit. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, weight is something to take into consideration. I'm not saying get the heaviest thing you can find out there and screw all weight, weight issues and whatnot, but weight shouldn't be the only issue. So many people limit themselves to ultralight subcompact handguns when carrying concealed because they're so worried about the weight issue, when in reality, if they do a little bit of thinking and adjust themselves a little bit, you can carry something like this, no problem. A full-size fighting handgun. I carry a 1911 every day when I'm off duty. I've just pretty much, after trying many different platforms, the 1911 is the one for me. And some people will flat out say, oh, the 1911 is too heavy. It's too heavy a platform to conceal carry. Some people just will not do it. I disagree. I conceal that thing every day with just a simple Uncle Mike's soft holster. I carry a full load, 8 rounds of 230 grain hardball with 1 extra magazine as reload, and you know what? I don't have any problems. There is no issues at all. I don't notice it hardly at all most of the time, but it's still there. And I'd rather have that handgun versus a subcompact. That's just me. To each their own. Your environment is going to vary. I'm certainly not knocking carrying subcompacts. If you want to do a subcompact, that's up to you. If you feel you're only comfortable with carrying a subcompact, it's on you. But the point at hand here and what I want to discuss is do not rely solely on what the firearm weighs. This rifle you see before you, my M16A4, this thing is not a light rifle. With a loaded magazine here, the M5 rail, the ACOG, and you've got the H-bar barrel. This thing, fully loaded, sits just under 12 pounds. It's a little bit heavy when compared to small carbine length AR-15s that are sitting right around 6 pounds. People might look at it and go, why in the world would you want to have a damn near 12-pound rifle? Well, the benefits outweigh the cost of having a little extra weight. I've got a heavier barrel that's going to maintain consistency a lot better than a government profile barrel. It's a very solid build, it's a very accurate build, and I know it's going to run well. And this is an example of adapting yourself a little bit to your weapon, not your weapon to yourself. Some people might be a little confused about that. They're, wait a minute, why would I want to adapt to the weapon? Shouldn't the weapon fit me right off the bat? And yeah, it should to a degree. But if you want something like a fighting rifle, like you see here, something that's going to last, and the barrel's not going to heat up and warp because it's so thin, and it's not going to have all these little polymer parts that can break, you're going to have to get used to carrying a little bit of extra weight. An example is, look at the guys out there in the field right now. You got guys out there, military troops, carrying 240 Bravos in the field on foot patrols. You got guys out there carrying 249s. Back in the days of World War II, you had guys carrying BARs, M1 Garands, which an M1 Garand is about equivalent to this, only slightly lighter with a full 8-round load. But you got guys out there, they huck a lot of weight. And you know what it is? They've adapted to it physically. Getting a little bit stronger is only going to benefit yourself. And unfortunately, I think today's generation is a little bit lazy. Me included. I tend to get lazy sometimes. I'll be the first to admit it. And I work constantly to try and overcome that, to think of new ways to not be lazy, to get out there and do things. Adapt myself instead of trying to force everything around me to adapt to me. People need to get out there and realize that, you know, a good fighting firearm might be a little bit heavy. If you can't hold up a rifle such as this and aim it and shoot it and you're a full-grown adult, especially a full-grown adult male, you may need to lift some weights. I'm sorry, that's just how I feel. I think people don't put physical fitness as first and foremost as they should be. And I'm not talking about becoming a bodybuilder, shedding all the fat off and getting down to like 0.5% body fat. I'm just talking about being in shape. Being able to lift heavier weights. Being able to have a little bit of cardio. Being able to handle yourself in a stressful situation and handle equipment like they should be. Weight is addressed too much, in my opinion. It's all about the ounces. It's all about the weight. And while it is an important factor depending on what you're trying to do with the firearm, I don't think it should be the number one thing that you got to look at. That's just my opinion. People go out to the field with lightweight rigs. They go out to the field with heavyweight rigs. And you know what? They adapt themselves. People forget how adaptable the human body is. Back in the days of World War II, when you look back during those days of World War I, World War II, you got guys doing physical training regimens that by today's standards, people look and go, geez, how do those guys do it? Our country is a lazy country. The United States as a whole, we've got so many obese people and so many lazy people, it's not funny. And I think it's causing us to be a little bit weak. So if you're really serious, if you're a prepper, especially the prepper crowd, this is probably more addressed to the prepper crowd than anything. The prepper crowd and the tactical crowd out there at YouTube. Take a look at yourself and honestly think, all right, what do I have to do if you're incapable of firing a rifle such as this? What do I got to do to get it where I can fire a rifle? Because I'll throw out one point, and this is for the prepper crowd and the tactical crowd, since they always talk about this sort of thing. Your rifle that you may have may be a super lightweight rifle. It may be a lightweight Kel-Tec or a really lightweight AR-15, thin barrel, really lightweight materials, or it could be something like a Bushmaster Carbon 15, and that's great. And you prize that lightweight rifle. But what if your rifle runs dry, and let's say in the uber Twinkie zombie apocalypse, you have to do a battlefield pickup, and it's a heavier rifle, like an M1A or a fully loaded AK-47, or a rifle like this thing with an H-bar barrel, or a heavier bolt action, something that requires you to use your muscles a little bit more. You need to be able to know that you can handle that. If you're used to carrying around a super airweight rifle all the time, when you get behind a normal rifle, you're going to falter a little bit. It is what it is. Heck, I've noticed it after shooting that little M1 carbine that I got. I shoot that little 30 caliber M1 carbine, and then I pick up a regular AR-15. The AR-15 feels like a monster in my hands just because of how small that little M1 carbine is. It is what it is. Adapt yourself. Get used to the heavy stuff. There's nothing wrong with it. You're just going to benefit yourself. You get out there, maybe lift a little bit of weights, get your forearms a little bit stronger, learn a little bit better techniques for supporting the weight of the rifle, and don't worry so much about the ounces and the weight. Don't place it on the very tip top of your priorities. Put it somewhere in between your priorities somewhere, because yeah, you have to address it sooner or later, but don't put it at the top. There's so many other things you need to be worrying about, like reliability, firepower, versatility. Just because a rifle like this weighs close to 12 pounds doesn't mean it's less versatile than a rifle that weighs 5 pounds. Because I guarantee this thing, I would rather take this thing into a heated argument versus something like a lightweight Kel-Tec or a Bushmaster Carbon 15. That's just me. So, all right. Remember, this is just my opinion alone. It's just like everything else in life. Everybody has their own opinions. If everybody was exactly the same, it'd be pretty boring. So if your opinion differs, that's fine. If you want to discuss it, feel free to go ahead and do so either by video comment or in your video response or comment below. So, all right, thanks a lot for watching, and as always, please stay safe.